Good day to all of you. I am José María Rojas, computer science student in Universidad Peruana de Ciencias Aplicadas UPC, part of the investigation team with Nilton Mercado, also a student, and Hugo Calderon. And I'm going to present the investigation's results of recommendation of video games with fuzzy logic. This is our schedule for the presentation, mainly introduction, summaries, explanation of the work and discussion of its results, and finally conclusions. The main problem explored in our investigation is that it can be complicated to recommend some video games from a large group. For example, in an enormous catalog of an online store. Furthermore, many of these recommendations are not filtered by an ethical rule. The overall amount of games interested are not maximized, and the use of few attributes of interest. Hence, we present a video game recommendation architecture using fuzzy logic with artificial intelligence ethical feature module. Additionally, we propose an application that allows us to recommend video games to users based on characteristics: critic score, user score, global sales, and year. We analyzed previous work for architecture on model recommendations. For example, these ones are video games recommendation systems. We have the Muhammad's Words, that is a game recommender system using collaborative filtering, Gambit, feature extraction of gameplay for similarity calculation from Mori, a CBR-based game recommender from Catala, and generating and personalizing boundary recommendation on Steam from Fata. Likewise, we also research approaches for similar kind of products. For example, the movie recommendation using metadata based on word-to-vector algorithm from John, deep neural network for YouTube recommendation algorithm of Conviction, development of content-based book recommendation system using genetic algorithm from IEEE, and also an investigation of ethical approaches, which is mainly based on the work from Alairi and Bellino, which is a decision-making model for ethical robots. The methodology of our proposal starts with the design of the following architecture. We use a dataset of 55,000 video games approximately, where we take 4 of 16 attributes for this work: user score, critic score, global sales, and year. Also, we add the age for ethical filter according to the user age. These attributes are our input for the fusifier. Then, we use our rules design by previously based knowledge from the experts' investigations to do the mechanism of inference. Then, continue to fusifier these rules with the user query to get the recommendation value of the video games according to the solicitude. The games with closest value to what the user is looking for create the first list of recommendation items. Then we apply the ethical filter of age restriction, and the user gets his or her final list of video games recommended. These are our fuzzy sets membership. We use triangle membership function for critic score and user score. For global sales, Gaussian membership function, and for year, trapezoidal membership function. We designed 16 rules for the mechanism of inference. We have estimated that the user critic has the highest interest judgment because we consider its respective as the most independent of the others, in addition to the fact that the same user dictates their opinions as regards critic score variable. It is a company's perspective media and not directly from the user. Critics make judgments. The global sales variable represents how well the game was sold or how popular the activity of the product is. The variable year mainly represents the time or year that the video game has been inserted into the market. It also represents the accessibility to the game, sales and acquisitions, platforms, consoles, repository, stores, among others. After applying the inference rules, we calculate the centroid of the aggregations with the Mandani diffusification model to transform the range of output values obtained from applying all the previously described rules to a value that can be easily interpreted by people. We have applied this method. The model calculates the center of the area below the curve obtained in the diffuse inference mechanism. The video games recommended show all the 16 attributes from the original database, after being filtered by the age criteria we designed. The output data is composed of a list of video games with a percentage of recommendation similar to that requested by the user. This list of video games is an output matrix. For this work, we also propose an application using the architecture proposed. This software allows us to recommend video games based in our inference rules and diffuse groups. It can be used for players that want a list of games coming from the database we used. All the input data is done by the application form. After the user inserts the video games attributes, the application will show a list of video games with an associated probability of similar games of the user was pointing. The evaluation value shows how much a game is recommended according to the inference. Also, it's key to remember that games presented are restricted to the user age value, in order to maintaining ethical principles and avoiding exposing minors to material with content not suitable for them. Our discussions of our results is resuming this point. 1000 queries have been tried for recommendation. 80% success rate had at least one video game of interest to the user or one that he had already played. We use 4 variables necessary to implement our model. In the validation, we show an accuracy of 80%, similar in the research that Catala did in 2014. In the investigation of Muhammad of 2017, Mori in 2017, Catala in 2014, and Cesar in 2014, different proposals makes video game recommendations with different techniques, each investigation without considering the ethical model, while we, in the investigation, add a filter based on the ethical model. In conclusion, we present a video game recommendation system architecture. For the inference engine, 16 rules are designed to calculate the recommendation. Using the Mandami model, it has been diffusified to show the associated probability in the recommendation. As for future work, it is possible to achieve a higher success rate by combining the proposed model with other methodologies such as content filtering or collaborative filtering, in order to generate hybrid models that previously used the data of interest of players and others with similar tastes, without neglecting the ethical issue presented by the current proposal regarding the recommendation of video games with content suitable according to the age. This concludes our presentation of our work, recommendation of video games with fuzzy logic. I hope this approach was of your interest. Thanks for listening and take care.